Hello, I'm David Burris with Calerin Forge, and tonight we're going to be working on making a flint and steel fire striker. And what we're going to use as our raw material is an old worn-out file. And blacksmiths were kind of the original recyclers. We hate to see anything just go to scrap, so we'll use it up till it's all gone pretty much. But this is a nice piece of high carbon steel, and which is what you're going to need to make your striker out of. So I've already annealed this yesterday. It's ready to start forging now, and that's something you have to do before you forge any, unless you order it from a supplier that supplies high carbon steel. You're going to need to anneal it if you're using reclaimed spring steel or files or whatever. The first thing we're going to do is heat this up, and we've already got a taper started here where the tang of the file was, so we're going to just follow that on out, and we're going to draw that out into a tip, and that's going to be our handle. And then we'll compress this and make it a little thicker and more of like a piece of square stock, and that's going to be the actual striking surface. Even though I'm kind of defeating my purpose by showing you how to do this, I do have these completed fire starter kits available on my website if you want to purchase one that's already ready to go into the field with you. Alright. Just going to forge those shoulders down. Alright, so now I've got enough to form my handle out of, but before I bend that over, I'm going to compress this. I'm going to go ahead and cut this off about right here and compress the part down that's going to actually become the striking surface. This particular striker that I'm doing here is a kind of a traditional colonial or Revolutionary War style striker. It's good for rendezvous reenactors or Civil War on down. The other style that we do is a Viking style, which is a little older. You'll actually put your hand up inside the handle and use, brace your thumb against it to strike it. The Viking style curls from either end, and you grip it with all of your fingers in the palm of your hand. They both work equally well. It's just a little different style of making the same tool. Now you want to be careful when you're doing this stage not to, if it starts to curl or roll on itself, stop right away and straighten that out, because you don't want to roll it up. You want to force it down into itself. Actually make it thicker as it decreases in width. I've got a little bit of a roll in the side of this. It won't really hurt anything, but I'm going to go ahead and use a tool called a flatter to go ahead and smooth that out, just for aesthetic reasons. I'm going to ask, this is Steve Anderson. He's come down from Michigan to work with me this week, and learning a little bit about blacksmithing. So he's a Army vet or a Marine Corps veteran.
Marines.
Sorry, which we're honored to have him working with us this week. So what we're going to do when I lay this down, you're going to hold that flat on the side of the thing, and I'll smack it with the big hammer. All the way out to the end there. All right. That pretty well smoothed it out. All right, I think that'll do it, Steve. Thank you. No problem. All right, so there's our striking surface, and I'm gonna, well, this is our striking surface. I'm gonna heat this up now and bend the handle around and put a little curl for my thumb to rest on, and then we'll be ready to heat treat it. You know, having to call Steve in is kind of my argument as to why I don't believe in evolution, because surely after this length of time, we would have evolved another arm for just such a contingency. We didn't, obviously. So. There's our little curl. I'm going to heat this up and use the scrolling tongs to bend this on around. It's one of the features I really like about my old anvil here. This is, best I can tell, this is a Foster, which was made about 1840. So there's been several families fed off the face of that one. But that little flat double horn comes in really handy for processes like adjusting that handle. That's the thing about most of the tools we use in blacksmithing, unless there's some really fine modern tools made, but the majority of my tools and tongs and my equipment are 100+ years old, and they're still, you know, really usable. All these were made during the time when people actually took pride in making something that would be handed down to posterity. We didn't try to engineer failure into the things we made. As an author, I really enjoy John Seymour. He's written a lot of books on being a self-sufficient gardener, and The Forgotten Arts and Crafts is one of his. He, I'm paraphrasing obviously, but he talks about how, you know, 150 years ago it might have taken a craftsman 3 weeks to make a chair, but somebody's still sitting in that chair. You know, now we can make 150 chairs an hour in a factory, but they'll be useless in 6 months. You know, so there will always be a place for handmade goods. So that's no, I'm off my soapbox now. So. All right, well, we've got our striker formed, and we've got it up to a critical heat. So last thing we're going to do is we're going to quench just the striking face in water. Normally don't quench high carbon items in water, but we want this to be really hard so it'll throw off the sparks. Lay that aside and let it cool a minute, let the handle part of it kind of normalize so I don't make it brittle, but then we'll test it out with a piece of flint and see how we've done here. Alright, she's cool enough to handle now, and got a nice piece of flint here. If we were actually going to be starting to fire with this, we would have our piece of char cloth laying here to catch the spark, which we would blow into a flame and then heat our tinder up with it, which we would then transfer to our kindling. But get Got to get a good sharp edge here. You know, I encourage you to try to make one of these, because it's not a difficult project, and it's kind of fun to be able to do that. But also, if you don't have time to make your own or don't have the resources, we do sell these little kits on our website. It comes with some jute tinder, some char cloth, and of course a fire striker and a piece of flint. And the little watertight box is big enough that you can gather your own tinder, like dry bark and pithy wood and stuff that you can put in there to keep to just make sure you've always got something that you can start a good fire with. So, you know, if you're in a situation where you don't have a lighter or some matches, then you're not going to freeze to death, as long as you have the skills to start a fire the old-fashioned way. So, hope you enjoy it, and happy smithing.